Colombia's education system, just as many other education systems in Latin America, is centralized. It is the Ministry of Education who regulates all levels of education, and it is in charge of outlining learning objectives and subject areas for each grade level. Schools, on the other hand, possess autonomy over these guidelines. They are not obligatory, which means they can decide on the priority of the topics, the methodology, and order in which they are taught. Additionally, institutions have the right to adapt subjects to the local and regional demands if needs be. This autonomy has raised some severe discussions where experts assure that children's learning and development is being limited by the lack of common standards, which translate into significant differences in the quality of services children receive across providers and regions. In addition, the need to improve teaching practices at all levels with adequate training opportunities and remuneration will in turn build a strong and inclusive education system, helping children break out of the poverty cycle and closing the large disparities between urban and rural areas. Unfortunately, according to an expert panel at the first encounter for the 21st Century Skills, the Future of Education this past Thursday, it would take approximately 18 to 22 years for experts to develop a new curriculum for the basic primary and secondary education in Colombia. Therefore, I find that there's a great opportunity to create a program that's flexible enough to evolve according to upcoming cultural, social, economic, and technological trends, as well as to adapt to regional and local needs, provide an environment beyond educational institutions where people can acquire and develop new tools and skill sets, and work together with government entities, social enterprises, organizations, and educational institutions to provide new learning opportunities to children and teachers. Therefore, the value proposition I would like to use for my independent project would be to create an educational experience that helps parents who want their kids to thrive in the future by changing an education culture of standardization to an education culture that celebrates diversity of talents, divergent thinking, and excites the power of imagination and curiosity. So for my customer segments, I have 3 profiles. First, children between the ages of 12 and 16, which will be essentially my end user. And the reason why I chose them is because of metacognition. Metacognition is what enables a student who has been taught a particular strategy in a particular problem context to retrieve and deploy that strategy in a similar but new context. General metacognition does not necessarily increase with age, but research shows that children over the age of 12 have a dramatic improvement over their younger peers in the monitoring and regulation of their cognitive skills, as well as allocating study and time and attention. Therefore, I think this is a great opportunity to test my first prototype with these kids within this age range. My second profile or customer segment would be parents who are essentially who take or make decisions for their own kids within that age range. Therefore, they are the ones interested in educating their children with the required tools and skill sets to navigate real-world complexities. I believe they are my first point of contact with their kids. So my third and last target audience, I believe, could be schools, because I think they'll be interested in letting teachers improve their teaching practices to be able to develop skills that can engage better with students in a more empathetic, flexible, and diverse learning environment. So before I started talking about the project timeline, I believe that some of the orthodoxies I will be facing during my independent project would be that children or people believe that children don't know what they want and that therefore they should have a say what the future should look like for them, that everyone learns the same way, that failure is bad, that there's only one right answer to things, that education is a mechanical system, that it is too challenging and costly to personalize learning for children, that creativity is only for artists, that children's skills should fit into what the system needs instead of what their actual needs might be. That learning can only take place within an educational institution, that learning can't be fun, and that you definitely need money to start your own business. I am proposing a project timeline for my first workshop prototype. This is a 7-week project timeline that includes the following sprints and set of actions. For the first sprint, which will last about 2 weeks, I am looking to search and contact all possible key partners to launch the first workshop prototype. This includes finding a location, getting people to find the right materials for the workshop, the food, the kits, and any volunteers that might want to come and help during this first prototype. After having a clear understanding of who the people involved during this workshop will be, I will then be able to move on to Sprint 2, where I'll be able to develop the workshop content and create all the exciting activities for the kids throughout that day. Then Sprint 3 will be all about running the workshop that day and analyzing and identifying possible opportunities from insights from kids, parents, teachers, and anyone involved during this day. I would also be looking forward to be able to create audio and video content of this day in order to then be able to share this content to possible future key stakeholders and partners. And last but not least, I would then do Sprint 4, which would take about 3 weeks, which is the 3 weeks in which I would identify the opportunities and choose a specific direction. I would look forward to define possible channels, cost structures, and revenue streams for my independent project.